So what's going on, guys? My name's Chopper, and welcome everybody to my first Apex Legends video. In this one, we're going to be ranking every single weapon from worst to best. Now, just in case you're not familiar, Apex Legends is the game that you can download for free right now on Xbox, PS4, or PC. But considering you guys are already watching this video, I'm sure most of you know that already. So anyways, today guys, as the title suggests, we're going to be ranking every single gun in the game from worst to best, talking about why these are ranked at their particular spot, what guns are the best, what guns are the worst, which ones you should stay away from, and it should just help you understand the game overall a little bit better. And real quick, if you don't mind sparing a second to leave a like rating on the video, it really does help me out a ton, and make sure that you're subscribed to the channel if you're brand new. If you want to see more Apex Legends content and just Battle Royale stuff in general, this is the place to be. Let me know inside the comment section, what is your #1 favorite gun in Apex Legends? Maybe we'll agree, maybe we'll disagree, who knows? Let's go find out. So coming in today on our list of dishonor, the worst gun in the game, I don't even think I really have to talk it up too much because you guys already know this has to be the Mozambique. We're all in agreement here. I don't think there's anybody trying to make the argument that the Mozambique is a good gun. It's like a pistol shotgun hybrid that fires 3 different projectiles, but the problem is that it's meant for close range, but it's absolutely garbage in close range. I really took some time to sit down and think about all the video games that I've played in, like, I guess first-person shooter games to be more specific, and all the weapons that I've used in them, and I literally don't think that there has been a worse gun in the Mozambique in a video game ever. I don't know who designed this and why. To me, it's like they put a troll weapon in the game, but you're actually supposed to take it seriously, so I don't know. I can honestly expect this to be buffed in the future. Maybe there'll be more pellets or something like that added to the fire, or like extra damage or whatever. I don't think it's going to be bottom of the barrel forever, so just at the time of making this video, this is, like, without a doubt, the worst gun in the game, so just stay far away from it. But moving on, and the weapon coming in just above the Mozambique, it's something that I don't even like that much better, but I guess I'll give it a bit more credit, is the triple take. Now, this is a DMR that fires similar to the Mozambique. It shoots like 3 different projectile bullets, but the problem is that this is a DMR. DMRs are supposed to be precise, and this kind of defeats the purpose of itself of being a like designated marksman's rifle. I will say though, it might not be as bad as you think it performs at a range, because like the spread really isn't that drastic, and especially if you're new to the game, I'd maybe recommend starting with this weapon, as it's pretty easy to shoot and will give you a good grasp on how a lot of the guns work in this game. There is an attachment that actually concentrates the fire of it, which can make it pretty good, and it can be just 1 beam, and if you land that, it's absolutely devastating, but normally that attachment's pretty hard to find, as well as the triple take and also the energy ammo for it, so it's a lot of scavenging and really not a lot of reward, so I would probably stay away from this one for the most part. But moving on now, and coming in just above that is the EVA full auto shotgun. Now, a lot of the shotguns in this game, well, specifically the Peacekeeper, are pretty decent, but this one I'm not really a big fan of, and there's a couple reasons. Biggest draw to this shotgun, or the greatest selling point that it has, is that it fires in full auto, which is nice. You know, you don't have to keep clicking, you can just hold down the trigger or mouse, whatever it is. But unfortunately, the rate of fire is that when you get it, it's so slow that you could just single tap quicker than it, so completely like negates the effect of full auto. The damage is kinda on the lower end as well, especially if you don't land on your pellets, so you are gonna have to land multiple shots. So it's just something that I really feel like there's better options. If you like the EVA, I know there's some fans out there, go for it, that's great, I love it. But if you ask me, the full auto thing you get with it is not worth it in comparison. There's just so many other options that you could go with that will serve you better. But the weapon coming in above that, still in our like lower middle tier, but we're climbing up there, this is gonna have to be the Alternator SMG. This gun's interesting. I can't sit here and tell you I like it, because I really don't, but it's this little pocket machine gun that fires pretty slowly. However, the really good thing about this weapon is that the hip fire is fantastic. For whatever reason, it feels really good and it's very accurate to hip fire with it, so if you're gonna do that, that's how I'd recommend you play it. But it doesn't seem to be a super common weapon. In the early game, it's probably one of the only things that you are gonna find. If you do end up holding onto it long enough where you put all the attachments on it, I guess it's really not half bad, but it's not worth putting those attachments on that particular weapon. By that point, you'll probably find something else. So the Alternator is really, it's a no for me. It's good in the early game, and I appreciate when I do get it if there's nothing around, but you're not going to catch me with it in the late game. Now, the gun coming in above from that is, we're entering almost the mid tier of this. We're still in the lower tier of weapons, and this has to be the RE45 pistol. What I appreciate about this gun is that it's got a really nice rate of fire. That's its best thing that it's got going for it. But what comes along with that rate of fire is a kind of lower end damage, so if you're in a gunfight and you miss at least a couple of shots, you're going to be in a world of trouble. It's kind of like the Alternator, where it's one of those guns, if you need it in the situation, it's great if you just need to spray it quickly, but I wouldn't hang on to it long term. Attachments don't really make it that much better in my opinion, so again, this is one of the, I have to rate it in the lower tier. But moving away from that, and the weapon that I think has to be at least the highest spot in that, I guess, quote unquote lower tier of of weapons is the P2020. Now, this is one of my favorite weapons to get in the early game. Like, I'm not even trolling. I think this weapon's great. The damage per shot is higher than the other pistol, the RE45, and you can shoot it almost just as fast if you have a good trigger finger. And the best part is you don't touch the trigger and the magazine's instantly drained like the other pistol. This one you can actually control a little bit better, and it seems to be a bit more methodical in the early game, and I would always recommend this over the other. As far as running this weapon in the late or mid game, it's still going to be a no for me. Attachments don't make it that much better either, so it's one of those things where just get it, get your couple kills, clear the area, get a different weapon, and then move on. But finally, coming into our mid-tier of weapons on this list is going to be the longbow DMR. Now, a lot of these DMRs are going to be kind of lower rated than you might expect because long distance fighting in this game is not very effective. It's hard to confirm kills. Even if you manage to dome somebody 500 meters away, they're either going to get revived, or even if you do kill them, their squad mate might pick them up and just call them back in. So close range is the way to go. You got to wipe a squad while they're there. You can't let any of them get away, or they could all come back. And I really feel like as of right now, the longbow is probably the worst out of the DMRs. There's a way better options, ones that fire faster and just ones that overall are better choices. So longbow just really isn't it, but it's not terrible, don't get me wrong. Moving along here, the next gun is going to be the G7 Scout, another DMR, but this is like the best cross between assault rifles and I guess actual sniper rifles. This is one that I will generally consider from match to match if I'm going to be fighting at mid to long range combat. This is one of those guns where attachments make it miles better. Like, the extended mags on this are unbelievably important, so if you're going to run the G7 Scout, make that a priority, as well as getting a scope or some kind of, I guess, longer range sight. But overall, while it's not my first choice out of guns, it's definitely not a bad choice. Coming in next above that is the Devotion LMG. Now this one it's interesting. It's a different kind of weapon. This LMG fires energy ammo, which is one of the only types of guns to do that in the game. Now, the special thing about this gun is that the fire rate increases as you hold down the trigger, meaning if you catch somebody in your spray as you're already like into it, then they're gonna die pretty quickly, and the DPS is very high, but it's all about that resetting and getting it back to that high fire rate. There is an attachment that makes it almost instant. It's a gold attachment, and it is very rare to find as well. And while I think it does make the gun a lot better, I still don't think it's super viable, especially for like all scenarios. It's an interesting gun to play around with, that's for sure. Now coming in above that, the weapon I'm gonna rank is the Prowler assault rifle. Now this is the perfect cross between like a PDW and the AR from Halo. It's like its cousin. The special thing about this gun is that it fires in a 5-round burst function, right? So basically you get 4 per burst if you don't have the extended mag on it, and then there also is an attachment to make it full auto, and I think that is the most important one that you can go after for the Prowler. It turns it from like just an average okay gun to an absolute god tier gun. The thing that holds back the Prowler is the time in between bursts, that little delay, so if you can eliminate that with that other attachment, then you're in business. Even without the hop-up attachment though, it's still a great weapon. Like, I would not complain finding this, which is whenever I'm playing, regardless if it's late game, early game, mid game, doesn't really matter. It's sick. But getting away from that and getting into somewhat of our higher tier, still in the middle, is going to be the Spitfire LMG. This is the best LMG in the game any day of the week. It beats out the Devotion and some of the assault rifles, I think, and what's great about it is that it's very consistent. It doesn't have a weird wind-up like the Devotion, and you get what you ask for. There's not much to complain about this gun. It's great all around. The only thing I would say is that it specializes in like medium range combat. It's not amazing up close and it's not amazing far away, but if you can catch people at that particular range, you're going to be in great shape. The damage per shot with the Spitfire is pretty high. 20 for the body and 40 for the head with that kind of fire rate. Honestly, dude, it's pretty sick. Attachments do really help improve this weapon, especially his sight and even the extended mag. Surprisingly, you'd think an LMG would be well off like with bullets because of it, you know, it's an LMG, but it holds 35 on default. If you can put that up to at least 50, it's going to be great. Even though it's not the most popular gun in the game, I really recommend that if you enjoy LMGs or you like that kind of more passive, methodical playstyle, give this one a try. It'll probably surprise you. Coming in next on our list, pretty much dead middle of the pack, but starting to get into that upper tier, I'm going to give it to the VK-47 Flatline Assault Rifle. Now, this one is good, but I don't tend to run it all the time because there's a couple things I don't like about it. On paper, this weapon's great. The fire rate's pretty good. The damage is honestly fantastic for what it is, and it should be, in theory, a really good weapon, but a couple things like the handling, the weapon sway is very strange. I don't like the way it kicks. It just doesn't seem to be predictable, and especially with no attachments, man, this thing is hard to use. You got to get a sight. You got to get some kind of extended mag on it. I'm really not trying to trash talk the gun at all because I don't think it's bad. I think it's phenomenal, actually. All I'm saying is that it has a couple obvious flaws that keep it from being a god tier weapon. Finally, in our list, what I'm going to consider high tier, the first one that we're going to talk about is the Hemlock AR. Now, I actually really like this weapon, and I think it's better than the Flatline in a lot of ways than one because it's a lot lot more versatile. It has more options. You can put it in single fire or burst, and the handling is much more consistent as well. I think a lot of people will agree with me when I say that this weapon has one of the best glow ups in the entire game. When you put attachments on this, it becomes absolutely devastating. It's a very dangerous weapon. Even if it's fully vanilla, you got no attachments on it, but if you have an extended, you have a barrel stabilizer and everything like that to make it a little bit more of a laser, right? If you take away all the inconsistencies that it has, this probably is one of the fastest melt guns that the game has to offer. You can even carry an extra scope and then throw that on and use it as like kind of a makeshift DMR. It's amazing for that. Hemlock, you got an A+ in my book. Now moving on and coming in at the next spot, this is gonna have to go to the big boy Peacekeeper. Everybody loves this shotgun. It's the classic pump action one, and the thing about this weapon is that it has a ridiculous amount of range, so you can tag people even if they're running away, if they're around a corner. It's extremely dangerous up close, and it's even pretty good at a medium range if you land all your pellets. It's inconsistent to do so, but if you can land headshots, it's crazy. It really is one of those guns that's just so satisfying to use, and the great thing about it is very common in spawn. Easy to find, easy to use, and it's effective. You can't beat that. It does also have a special attachment where you can concentrate the fire of this one, and you aim down the sights for a couple seconds, and then you make a concentrated beam that lasts for a second or two, and that can be insane. I'm a really big fan of the Peacekeeper, if you couldn't already tell. The weapon I'm going to rank above the Peacekeeper is the Wingman. Now, this is the gun. Here, keep this in mind. This is probably going to change very soon. If there's any gun in the game that's going to catch a nerf first, it has to be the Wingman. This is a revolver that's essentially a DPS machine with no punishment if you miss your shots. That's always been the balancing factor of revolvers in games, that they're powerful if you do land your shots and they're devastating, but if you miss, then yikes, like your enemy is gonna have a great opportunity to come in and snag that kill. The Wingman is like all of the reward without any of the punishment, and I don't even have to tell you, I think you guys already know how ridiculous this gun can be. Now getting into the god tier weapons on this list, we're gonna have to give this to the Mastiff shotgun. Now this is the rarest shotgun in the game, and not only that, but the ammo that comes with it is like non-expendable, right? When you use this, you lose it. But the way that the pellets fire from this gun are in a horizontal line, so it's kind of like you have a choke on the shotgun, and what that means is that it's going to be extremely easy to hit moving targets, and also headshots are going to be easier with this shotgun. The damage that it puts out is like mad. If you manage to hit all of your pellets, theoretically you can do 280 damage to the head, but you know, when you're in combat and people are far away moving around, it's not likely that you're going to land every single pellet, but that's just like something to keep in mind, that it is possible. Getting almost to the very top of this list, a god tier weapon in the game is the R301 assault rifle. Now statistically, this has the fastest fire rate, the fastest DPS out of all the ARs, and really not a lot of kick to it either. It's easy to get attachments for it, and it's very easy to use as well. Even if your opinion is, for whatever reason, you don't really like the gun too much, it's not your thing, statistically, you can't beat the numbers. It's better than all the other ARs. I also expect this one, along with the Wingman, to get a rebalance at some point. Maybe they're going to decrease the fire rate on this thing or something, but as its current state right now, it's ridiculous. But moving on in, almost at the #1 spot on this list, an amazing weapon is the Kraber sniper rifle. Now, I said earlier that long-range combat in this game is not very effective or practical, but this is the exception to the rule. The thing is, it's a special weapon just like the Mastiff, so the ammo is not expendable, but if you're careful with your shots and you're actually accurate when you're using this weapon, you can put down entire squads in just a couple of shots. It shreds straight through any level of armor, and as long as you hit at least somewhere on the body or even the head, better yet, you'll delete people before they even know what even happened. Again, as I was saying though, the only issue is that it's very rare, so you're not going to get that much playtime with it, meaning you won't have that much practice with it, so you're not going to be extremely familiar with that weapon. But when you do get it, I highly recommend that you make the most and take advantage of what you do have. But ladies and gentlemen, coming in today at the best weapon in the game, you might have seen this one coming, the illustrious, the magnificent R99 SMG. Because Apex Legends has such an obvious meta of close quarters combat, this is the go-to. If you want to relate it to another gun that you might be familiar with, the Vector is the obvious choice. But just like the Vector, its big downfall is the fact that it has a smaller magazine size, so it's very vital that you attach at least some kind of extended mag to this, and it's going to make it 10 times, 20 times more effective. And keep in mind, while I am rating this as the best gun in the game, and it does statistically have, you know, numbers to back that up, I really do think that attachments are important and using it in the right scenarios are important. It's not like a gun that's going to carry you to a victory every game, even if you don't use it properly. It's imperative that you use it in its correct setting. But listen, guys, all I'm saying is when this is on the battle battlefield, if you don't have it or an enemy's got it and he's about ready to fight you, it's scary, dude. Like, no kidding. But I'm gonna have to rate the R99 right now as the king of Apex Legends at the moment. If there's rebalances and nerfs and stuff like that, this may change, but currently, I do believe that this is the greatest gun in Apex Legends, and you should definitely give it a try. But anyways, guys, I think that is going to be the video for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like rating. Let me know in the comment section what your favorite weapon in Apex Legends is, and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are brand new. I'd appreciate that a lot. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great one, and I'll see you all on the next live stream or the next video. Take it easy, everyone, and peace out.